Deerfield Estates versus Emilio Castillo.
Jarrett Levine for the plaintiff.
Deerfield's going to love me on this one. Who's here from Deerfield? Can you tell me your name?
We have Richard Winkleman, and we have I think we also have Dawn.
Yep, I'm here.
Tell me your name, ma'am.
My name's Dawn Epach.
Do I have anybody else that needs to be involved? Mr. Winkleman, you're on this one too?
I am, Your Honor.
State your name.
Richard Winkleman.
Mr. Castillo, your name? So,
Your Honor, we also have, I'm sorry to interrupt, we also have one more, we have a third representative with Miss Epach.
Wow, they're teaming up, huh?
Just to make the record clear. There's a
Who's
third,
that
there's a
now?
third.
Who's the third representative?
Ebony Riley.
Anthony Riley?
No, Ebony Riley.
Ebony Riley, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. All right. Your name?
My name is Emilio Castillo.
So, Mr. Levine, I know they want this poor guy out. He's got equity in the home. We had termination of tenancy action. One of your lawyers was in here yelling at me about it.
Oh.
I went out and looked at the place twice. He at least cleaned it up enough. So I threw that out. Now we're here for the landlord tenant. I entered a judgment in this case. And Jennifer Wiseman, would you please, or Mikolos, whoever, tell me what the judgment amounts was exactly?
The hearing begins with a tense tone as a case of Deerfield Estates versus Emilio Castillo is called into court. The plaintiff's attorney, Jarrett Levine, introduces himself, while multiple representatives from Deerfield Estates appear, including Richard Winkleman, Dawn Epach, and Ebony Riley. The judge takes a moment to confirm everyone's identity, clearly noting the number of people involved on the landlord's side. On the other side stands Mr. Castillo, alone. The judge recalls prior interactions in this case, mentioning earlier disputes about the condition of the property and a previous attempt to remove a tenant. He acknowledges that the tenant had at least made efforts to clean the place. Now, the focus shifts to the current landlord-tenant issue and a prior judgment entered against Castillo. The judge prepares to review the motion related to staying the eviction. The atmosphere already suggests this case may not be as simple as it seems.
Motion for to stay execution of writ. It says, and I'm going to read this motion for my recollection now more than anything. On April 1, defendant was ordered by this court to pay the outstanding balance for rent by April 13, 26. On April 13, 26 at approximately 6 a.m., defendant deposited money orders totaling $3,300 into plaintiff's design Dropbox. The money orders were purchased on April 12th. Plaintiff advised defendant on April 14th the payment was short and to retrieve payments. Defendant immediately asked plaintiff ability to correct remaining balance. Plaintiff refused additional payment. Defendant remains ready and willing and ready to pay remaining amount immediately. So you guys aren't really going to try to evict him over a $50 shortage, Mr. Levine. Now, I know you got clients here, but I know you're a good lawyer and I know you're intelligent enough and have enough common sense to say to them, let's back off on this one, right?
And Your Honor, that's why the partial payment that was made late was returned to Mr. Castillo so that he could have those funds back to him.
Made late. He was
Landlord's attorney lays out the timeline, claiming that Castillo was ordered to pay his outstanding rent by April 18th. According to the plaintiff, Castillo deposited $3,300 in money orders, but the payment was both late and incomplete. They argue the money was not in the Dropbox on time and insist multiple witnesses will testify to that fact. The attorney emphasizes that Castillo failed to meet the deadline and should face eviction as a result. However, the judge immediately questions the fairness of evicting someone over a small shortage of around $50. Despite this, the attorney pushes forward, suggesting that Castillo has a pattern of unreliable statements and failed to comply with the court's order. The tension rises as the court prepares to hear directly from the tenant. The key issue now becomes timing and credibility.
supposed to pay by the 13th.
And these witnesses, Your Honor, will testify under oath that money was not in the Dropbox. You have 3 witnesses who will testify under oath that money was not in the Dropbox the morning of the 13th when they did their deposit from the weekend, and 2 witnesses who will testify under oath that that money was not in the Dropbox at the close on the 13th. That money was not in the Dropbox on the 13th, Your Honor. So the statements in Mr. Castillo's motion are inaccurate, as with the veracity of most of his statements leading up to this hearing. And he was at the prior hearing. He knew how much to pay. He represented to the court that he could pay the total amount right then and there.
I know he
That he-
did.
That he waited until a day after his deadline, and therefore, Your Honor, he failed to comply with the judgment.
Well,
So
that's a
as an
little
attorney-
different if that's the truth. Mr. Castillo. When did you make the payment? Do I have to swear you to an oath?
Yep.
When did you make the payment?
I made a payment 6 a.m. before my workday started. I purchased them at 7 o'clock on the 12th. I have the money orders,
Let me
the
see.
date highlighted. As of the 12th, on the back of the 4 money orders totaling $3,300. I informed them that their cameras have me on file and putting it in the Dropbox. I was then informed that their cameras have not worked for a while.
You did tell me. I thought you were gonna go, I was shocked to receive this. I thought that you said you were going to pay them that day or something. That we were in court. Did you not tell me that?
The additional fines forced me to wait until my payday of the 12th. Or I'm sorry, the 12th, that following Friday. So I was able to pick up the remaining amount, and
This looks like,
the highlighted ones are on the receipts at the back. The 2 new money orders are for the $50 and any remaining late fees. The other 200 money order is in case of court fees. So I sit with 1605, or I'm sorry, 3605.
how much were you supposed to pay?
3360.
Your Honor, the judgment was 3355.98.
What's this? What's in this envelope? This was from April 22nd, right?
April 12th.
Well, I'm counting here, you've got,
Castillo presents his defense, stating that he purchased money orders on April 12th and placed them in the Dropbox early in the morning on April 13th. He even brings physical proof showing the dates on the money orders. He claims the property's cameras should have captured him making the deposit, but then reveals he was told the cameras were not working. This adds a new layer of uncertainty to the case. Castillo also explains that he later obtained additional money orders to cover the remaining balance and any extra fees. The judge carefully reviews the amounts and notices that Castillo had nearly the full payment ready. Meanwhile, the landlord insists the payment was not found until April 14th. Castillo denies any delay, maintaining that he followed the timeline properly. The disagreement now centers entirely on whether the payment was actually submitted on time.
a money order on April 12th for 1,000, another one for 900. Oh, there was another one stuck here. Another one for 1,000. So 1,000, 1,900, 2,900, 3,300. He's got money, he's got orders, money orders here saying he bought them on the 12th
And
for
Your Honor,
33.
they were not received in the community Dropbox until the 14th. And they did a sweep on the morning of the 13th from the weekend for a deposit and at the close. He did not remit those money orders timely. If he had them the whole time, why would he have? Well, I'll leave that.
Yeah, why wouldn't you have?
I did it too.
Frustration begins to show from the judge as inconsistencies in Castillo's earlier statements come to light. The judge recalls that Castillo previously claimed he had the full payment ready during an earlier hearing, which now appears to be untrue. When questioned, Castillo admits he did not actually have the entire amount at that time. This damages his credibility in the court's eyes. The judge directly tells him he was not being honest, making the situation more serious. The landlord's attorney uses this moment to reinforce their argument that Castillo cannot be trusted. The courtroom grows tense as both sides hold firm to their versions of events. Recognizing complexity and rising emotions, the judge calls for a short recess to think through the situation. It is clear the decision will not be strict.
Them into the mailbox, into their Dropbox on the 13th. As I said, I informed that their cameras have been, I was then informed that their cameras do not work.
I don't know what the cameras have to do with anything. We have 3 witnesses.
I would not hold on to the money orders for one day to turn them in on 14th. I have call logs from them as they said I was not reachable to return it. I was reached at 10:50 the following morning, informed to come pick up my money orders at 10:54 the 14th. I then went and seek legal advice, was told to pick up.
Don't tell me what the lawyer told you.
My apologies. I then presumed with my legal advice, and then after I was met with no ability to resolve the situation, I immediately came here and filed the motion.
After the break, the judge returns with a more reflective approach, focusing on the bigger picture. He acknowledges that Castillo may have equity in the home, meaning eviction could result in significant financial loss beyond just unpaid rent. The judge questions why someone would go through the effort of purchasing money orders if they did not intend to pay on time. While not excusing late payment, he shows concern about the fairness of the situation. The landlord's attorney argues that any equity is separate from the obligation to pay rent on time. Still, the judge remains focused on understanding the full context. He decides to proceed with witness testimony to clarify the timeline. The outcome now hinges on what the witnesses can prove about the Dropbox deposit.
So as of the 14th, my actions on the 14th were nothing more than.
I kind of felt like a babysitter on this one, to tell you the truth.
I understand.
Do I really have to conduct a hearing here, Mr. Levine?
Your Honor, my client yes, you have to conduct a hearing. There's been a complete disregard for the rules and for payment, and he misrepresented himself to the court by saying he could pay that day and then waited until, on his own testimony,
Did you?
12 days later and was short.
Why did you wait?
And so nothing's adding up. Your Honor. Sorry.
Why didn't you tell me you were going to pay that day?
I had 90% of the payment that.
Well, you didn't tell me you had 90% of the payment. You said, I'm going to pay it all today. I have all the money. Did you not say that? Am I crazy?
No, you are not.
Well, then why'd you tell me that if that wasn't true?
That day I was not able to get an advance on my check to get the remaining amount for $200.
Well, why'd you tell me you had the money?
I believed I was able to get the $200.
You weren't being honest with me. You weren't being honest with me. All right. Well, let me take a 5-minute recess, okay? I'll be back here in a few minutes, everybody. Just be patient with me, please. Thank you. Have a seat. Please.
Why did you mean this? You didn't even do this yet.
All right, so now again, I'm going to take testimony. Now I want the record to reflect that in front of me. Mr. Levine, he also has equity in this. I mean, I've got a heart. I just want you to know he's got equity according to him. I remember covering that with the termination of tenancy. And I'm not condoning somebody being late, but I don't know why in the world, unless he just wants to make an issue of this and make me think, why he would go and get money orders on the 12th. And I've got them. 900, 1,000, that's 19 plus 400, that's 23 plus 4, wait a minute. 1,000, 1,900, 900, 1,000, that's 29 plus the 4 is 33.
Your Honor, there's a difference of opinion on the equity, but if he does have equity like he says he has, he can take that home with him when he leaves. It's his home to take with him when he leaves, and if he thinks it has equity.
Listen to your witnesses. I'm not going to prevent them from testifying.
Thank you.
But if they got it on the 14th, I want everybody to know that. Who do you want to testify first?
We'll start with the property manager. Dawn.
And your name again, ma'am?
My name's Dawn Epoch.
And you are the property manager, correct?
Yes,
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm under penalties of perjury that the testimony you'll give in these proceedings will be the whole true self you got.
yes.
Mr. Castillo, you can have a seat there if you want, or you can stand, whatever you prefer. Go ahead, Mr. Levine.
Thank you. Ms. Epoch, what is your position with Deerfield Estates?
I'm the community manager.
As a community manager, are you familiar with Mr. Castillo's payment history?
Yes,
And do you handle the deposits from the Dropbox?
it's either me or my assistant Ebony.
Is that who's sitting behind you?
Yes,
On the morning of Monday, April 13th, did you handle the deposits out of the Dropbox with Ebony?
I did not that day.
I was with Richard.
Ebony did the deposit.
Ebony did the deposit.
Mhm.
And did you do the deposit that afternoon? Did you review what was in the Dropbox that afternoon?
Yes,
Yes. Did you review what was in the Dropbox the morning of Tuesday, April 14th?
yes.
When did Mr. Castillo's payment totaling $3,300 appear in the Dropbox?
That would be Ebony.
Oh,
We both check it.
you both check it, but you
Yeah.
didn't
They're on
find
the
it.
13th.
It would,
What's that?
Ebony checked
You
it
s-
on the 13th. I heard.
Right. So why am I hearing from her? Did you review?
Property manager and staff take the stand under oath, providing detailed testimony about how the Dropbox is handled. Ebony Riley explains that she checks the Dropbox every morning and throughout the day. She confirms that on the morning of April 13th, Castillo's payment was not there. However, she also admits that the box is checked multiple times without exact timestamps. By the morning of April 14th, the payment was found in the Dropbox. This creates a gap in certainty about when the money was actually placed inside. The judge carefully questions whether anyone can confirm the payment was not dropped off after business hours on April 13th. The witnesses cannot definitively say. This uncertainty weakens the landlord's argument. The timeline becomes less clear the more details are revealed.
Okay, if Ebony acquired the payments out of the Dropbox on the morning of the 13th, did you look at them later in the day to see who had paid?
Yeah, I check it throughout the day.
Hang on, your name
Okay.
again.
My name is Ebony Riley.
And spell your last name. I didn't catch that.
Yes, my last name is Riley.
Riley, okay. I'm sorry. Raise your right hand, Ms. Riley. You solemnly swear or affirm under penalties of perjury the testimony you'll give in these proceedings will be the whole true self you got.
Yes,
Did you go to the Dropbox on the 13th, morning of the 13th?
I did.
What time?
I get here around 9 o'clock.
How many payments were in the Dropbox the morning of the 13th, which was a Monday, by the way, right?
Yeah, Monday. The morning is probably, I think it was about 2 or 3 on Monday morning.
If somebody puts their payment in the Dropbox on 12th, nobody would be there to pick it up until the 13th. Is that true or false?
True.
So when you went into the Dropbox on the 13th, how many payments were in there?
2 or 3. I don't remember exactly, but it wasn't that many.
What did you do with those?
When I get them, I look at them, I open them, and then I deposit them into the person's account.
Was there a payment for Mr. Castillo in there on the morning of the 13th?
No, there wasn't.
And again, what time did you check that at?
I get in at 9, so probably right when I come in between 9:05.
All right, who checked the box on the 14th? Was it you, Ms. Riley?
Yes, it was.
What time?
I checked it around 9 o'clock again.
Was there a payment in there from Mr. Castillo on the 14th?
Yes, there was.
And how many days do you check the Dropbox?
I check it every day because it's in my room.
I know, but how many times do you check it?
I check it throughout the day because I see when people come up and when they drop it, so I just grab it, or just throughout the day, just look to see if something had fell into the Dropbox.
Do you remember whether or not you checked the Dropbox more than once, that being at around 9 o'clock in the morning on April 13th?
I check it throughout the day, so yeah, more than once.
How many times? Well, I'm asking, did you check it? Do you specifically remember checking it last Monday, April the 13th, after 9 a.m.?
Yeah, between 9:05, yes.
Listen to my question.
Okay.
Do you specifically remember checking it after 9:09 or 9:05 a.m. on April 13th?
Yes.
Can you tell me what times you also checked the Dropbox on April the 13th after 9:05 a.m.?
I don't have like times, but it's just throughout the day.
How many times throughout the day?
Multiple times, maybe 5, 6.
And you have no reason to dispute that his payment was in there the morning of the 14th.
His payment was in there on the morning of the 14th.
When is the last time that somebody checked the Dropbox on the 13th?
I check it
Or that you did? When is the last time you checked the Dropbox, if you remember, on April 13th?
Yep. It will be 5 o'clock. We close at 5, so I check it before we leave out.
Ms. Epoch, what time did you last check it on the 13th?
We knew Mr. Castillo's deadline was the 13th, so I checked it also. And I stay
What's that?
after 5, and I checked it before I left.
What time did you leave?
I usually leave anywhere between 5:15 and 5:40.
All right. And so if he put it in there after 5:15 or 5:40, what time would that have been discovered?
The next day.
Right. Can anybody swear under oath that he didn't drop it in the Dropbox on the 13th?
That he didn't?
That he did not. It was in there the morning of the 14th,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Can anybody testify under oath, whether it's Mr. Winkleman, Ms. Epoch, or Ms. Riley, that can testify that it definitely was not in the Dropbox after 5:30 or 5:40 or 6 o'clock on Monday, April 13th?
It would be after the close of business, Your Honor. There would be nobody there to check that.
Well, I know, but what if he put it in there on the 13th? Would that mean that it was not effectively presented on or before the 13th?
I mean, my response to that is, why did he take so long? And he told us he did it on the 13th in the morning. His testimony to the court was that he did it that morning. He didn't say he did it in the afternoon. He didn't say he did it after hours. He didn't say he did it at 6 o'clock or after they left. He said he did it that morning. And the testimony you heard under oath was that payment was not in the morning, and it was not in when they closed, and they even stayed late. So
You're under oath.
statements.
I
I'm going to swear you in, if I haven't already. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you'll give in these proceedings will be the whole true self you got? Now listen to me. You are under oath. That's serious. You understand that? You told me in court, not under oath, you were going to go and pay the whole thing and that you had the whole thing on the date that you were last in the courthouse.
Correct.
Didn't you?
Correct.
That wasn't truthful, was it?
No, I did not have the full amount that moment.
But you chose to tell me that you had the full amount to pay. True?
Right.
And in fact, I think if I went back and listened to the tape, the time before that, and it could have been in conjunction with the termination of tenancy action, you told me you had the money to pay in full. Did you or did you not?
I did. That was not the following month added.
What time did you put this money in the Dropbox?
6 o'clock in the morning,
What day?
April 13th. I purchased them Sunday, April 12th from Kroger, 7 o'clock. I submitted them into the Dropbox at 6 a.m. before I left that day.
And you put in 3,300, correct?
33 of the 33.59.
Why didn't you pay 33.59?
My understanding was 33. I was wrong. I didn't know that I didn't calculate the 60. I was unaware of the 60. So,
All right, hang on. Mr. Levine, I'm gonna let you ask him any questions you want. Did you hear me, Mr. Levine?
Yeah, yes. Did anybody witness you, Mr. Castillo, putting the money in the Dropbox?
there were no human witnesses, as I informed him that his camera pointed toward the Dropbox should have me putting it in there at that time before I was informed that they do not work.
I'm not sure what the camera has to do. So nobody saw you put the money in the Dropbox.
It would have only been their security cameras.
You typically pay by remitting payments in the Dropbox, or you take them into the office?
I typically remit them into the Dropbox.
You ever get a receipt for these payments?
Only if I'm able to drop them off in person, very few receipts.
Wouldn't you think that something this crucial facing an eviction would warrant a receipt and to go into the office?
At this point in time, my better judgment says that I should have, yes.
So it's your testimony that you dropped these money orders in the Dropbox on Monday, April 13th at 6 a.m.
Absolutely.
I have nothing further, but I have one rebuttal witness in Mr. Winkleman, who was there the morning of the 13th.
Who do you want to testify?
Richard Winkleman.
Mr. Winkleman, tell me your name, please.
Richard Winkleman.
I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand. You solemnly swear affirmative penalties of perjury, the testimony you give in these proceedings will be the whole true self you got.
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Winkleman, please state your position with Deerfield Estates.
I'm the Director of Community Operations.
And how long have you held this position?
Over 11 years.
How long have you worked in the manufactured housing industry?
Over 30 years.
Were you present at the Deerfield Estates office the morning of April 13th?
I was.
Were you there when your office staff did the deposit from the Dropbox?
I was there when they checked the Dropbox, yes.
When they checked the Dropbox. Was Mr. Castillo's payment in the community Dropbox on Monday, April 13th, when you were there and they checked the Dropbox?
No, it was not.
But that's based strictly on what the employees told you, right? Either Ms. Epoch or Ms. Riley. You didn't actually physically check it, correct?
I was there when the envelopes came out of the Dropbox and there was no payment from Mr. Castillo.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Levine.
Nothing further.
Do you have any questions that you want to ask any of these witnesses?
Nothing that would change the outcome. I think, go on.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
My questions at this point would just seem stonewalled. They wouldn't give me the remaining amount that I owed to fix the situation on the 14th. Every question I got was referred to with you have to speak to our lawyers.
Any argument?
And just briefly in response, Mr. Castillo has participated in this case. He was aware of the amount, and there's a judgment that was entered that reflected that amount in writing, with the court finding the exact amount to be paid and the deadline to pay it. We're asking the court to enter the order of eviction and authorize the eviction.
Anything?
Nothing further than why the cameras don't work that are pointing toward the Dropbox. Because the rent has been stolen out of there once at least.
Is it a lockbox, Ms. Epoch?
It's just like a little drop box that when you put it in, it goes straight to the floor into a box. There's no lock.
Why are you saying that some money's been stolen out of it?
Oh, no, it had happened before. During the time that I lived there, money orders had been stolen, so I'm just curious why the cameras don't work to show that I was there that morning.
Were money orders stolen before?
I've only been here for 6 years, so not in my time.
Look, I don't know why somebody would go and get, and I'm not accusing anybody of lying here. Let me be clear about that. I don't know, but I don't know why somebody would go and get money orders on the 12th and not put them in the box until the morning of the 14th. It doesn't make any sense to me. I've got the receipts right here. He clearly got them on the 12th. How far are you from the office?
I'm less than a mile, not even on the first street.
So it doesn't make any sense. I know he's $59 short. I'm denying the motion, or I'm granting his motion to stay the proceeding. I'm going to find that the judgment has been satisfied. So I'm sorry. So the motion to stay of execution and writ of eviction is granted. Motion to stay execution and execution of writ of eviction, I should say, is granted. Judgment deemed satisfied. He has paid the other $59, right?
No, he has not, and he still has the money. So the judgment's certainly not satisfied.
I'm going to hand you back all of your sheets here. all of your property. I do want to make copies, Jennifer, please, of the money order receipts. I'm going to hand him the money orders right now. You are to pay in the order, Jennifer, prepare an order that the motion to stay of execution of writ is granted. Defendant has paid $3,300. The remaining judgment amount shall be paid by 4 p.m. today. By 4 p.m. today. Do you understand that?
It would be put in.
Your Honor, he still has the 3,300 though. Are we walking when we're not physically in court with him? So he needs to remit all of it because we don't have any of those payments.
Can be there, then hope that is.
Oh, because you returned it, right? Because they returned it?
Yes, because it was late.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, you're right. My apologies. Motion to stay execution writ is granted. All monies due pursuant to the all monies pursuant to the judgment. I don't know what date it was entered. I don't have that in front of me. Are due by 4 p.m. today. And you are to go in there and you are to get a receipt for payment. Do you understand that? I'm handing everything back to you. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, Judge.
In the final phase, the judge directly questioned Castillo under oath, pressing him about his earlier statements and the exact timing of the payment. Castillo firmly maintains that he placed the money in the drop box at 6 a.m. on April 13th, though he admits he was slightly short on the total amount due. A final witness from the landlord supports a claim that the payment was not seen on the 13th, but again, this is based on observation rather than absolute proof. The judge ultimately finds the situation unclear and leans toward fairness rather than strict technicality. He decides to grant a motion to stop the eviction process, ruling that the payment issue does not justify removing the tenant. However, he orders Castillo to pay the remaining balance in full by 4 p.m. that same day and to obtain a receipt. The case ends with the tenant narrowly avoiding eviction, but under strict conditions.